Hey guys, so I wanted to do a video on finishing the triangle choke. It's something I've noticed with a lot of guys in modern jiu-jitsu. They get good at these kind of more complicated open guard positions, but they don't have the perfect finishes on like the arm bar, the triangle choke. I came from a very old school traditional school, so I got the benefit of having a really good submission finish, and I just wanted to go through some of the common mistakes people make. Okay, so let's just start off with the basic idea of the triangle. So a lot of people, one of the big mistakes they make, I feel like, is when they land the triangle, they're trying to land it in a tight finish, like super tight over here when they finish. That's actually a lot of times very detrimental. No matter where you're setting it out from, like I'm in double sleeve, and I try to land in this really tight finish, often what happens is as you're landing here, he can dump truck through like that as you go, okay? More often what I'm doing is just trying to get my legs locked, almost like closed guard, just with his arm inside. Once I get to this position, the real skill set is the ability to finish from here, okay? So the first two things I want to talk about is the arm positioning and then what makes the choke tight, right? You can come around this side. Okay, so the first thing is this arm position. There's a lot of debate about like, do you need to push the arm across the body and stuff like that? It's not so much about the arm being across the body for the choke, it's more about the posture, right? So if he's controlling this and he's framed up really hard, it's really hard to break him down, right? Once I break this grip, or if I don't let him get it in the first place and I push it over, now I can bring him down. Once I bring him down, he can't bring this back. I focus on the head with my hand and I lock my elbow in. That stops him from bringing his arm back across the body, which stops him from posturing, and it controls his posture as well. Now I'm gonna work on grabbing my own shin. I'll put my foot on the hip and I'm gonna adjust out and back. The main thing I wanna do to make this choke tight is I want to get my neck to cut over his, or my leg to cut over his neck super tight like this, right? There shouldn't be this little gap here. I think of like a nutcracker, okay? You have to open it all the way to put it all the way in to close, right? So I open my leg, I kind of twist my hip out just a little bit like this so that I can really cut this in here, right? So if you see here, a lot of people's choke will look kind of like this, with this little gap. You want this straight so you can kick in. Depending on the frame of the person you're fighting and your own frame, it can be harder to finish, right? So you really got to be tight with this. I cut it in, and when I lock, I don't lock over my foot. I try to lock up over my shin here. So I'll use my knee to push his head further into the choke. Does that make sense? See, I push it up here, and then I lock down there. That makes it much tighter. If I was here, there's a lot more gap, right? Now, of course, if I'm fighting someone who's like way bigger, like 250 pounds, well then, you know, maybe I have to lock out here. That's fine, right? But if you feel like there's a lot of gap, go up high and cut it in. Once I get it in tight, I actually want to get my hips more over on this side, okay? From here, if you do the choke tight, you should be able to finish with just your legs. The head pull is a nice extra, but don't be super dependent on it. With a good triangle choke, you want to get to the point that just contracting the muscles in your hamstrings and calves will make the choke tight. I keep my feet up and contract everything tight, okay? So now let's look at understanding that. Let's look at like 3 of the most common defenses people are going to use and how to counter those, okay? First thing I want to talk about is the stack. So once I get in here like this and I'm working, guys are going to try to put you up on your neck, so just start stacking me. Yeah, exactly. See, he gets my hip up off the floor. I always want to try to keep my hip on the floor. So what I do is this anti-stack motion I've shown before in previous videos, where I kind of slide back and arch my hip down. As I'm doing this, I want to pivot my upper body to the side over here. So go ahead and start stacking. And I want to slide out. See, I use my head, I arch my low back, drive my hips to the floor, and I try to slide out to the side. As I do that, I can kind of inch, like I see, like I kind of caterpillar this. I open my leg up a little bit and cinch it in deeper, and then reclose. Okay, I'm always doing that. Like right here, you can't really tell. It looks like the same, but it's not tight. So I just do that a little bit, and that adjusts it. So I'm always kind of opening and closing to get it tighter. Right now, it's in tight. Okay, so that one, anti-stack, drop your hip down, pivot out to the side. Another really common one that gives people a hard time is the guy taking this hand and grabbing your knee here and pulling you over to the side, right? This is a super common one that gives people a hard time. Okay, what I do is, usually this happens as you're pushing across the body, the guy starts focusing on that. I know that's coming all the time because I've been doing triangle chokes so long. So as soon as I'm here and I sense the guy's hand starting to come up, first thing I do is scoop this arm. Go around here. Yeah, I scoop this arm and I use my elbow open as a frame on the floor. What that does is as he tries to pull that way, it's really hard to pull that way, this frame. To make it even tighter, I'll come over, once I freeze it, I'll come over with this left arm and open it. And again, I shift out to the side. Now he can't pull me that way, and it's a super tight finish, okay? But you need to train yourself to be quick on that.
if I'm slow here and I'm not paying attention, he pulls me over here, it does become really hard. And there is a critical point where I kind of feel like I lost it, right? At that point, I might start trying to push the sleeve over and try to work out to the back or back to close guard or something. But there is a critical point where it becomes very difficult. Okay, so we're here, right? We're like this. He starts, again, as soon as he starts to go up there, hook this, but see if my elbow's here, it's not enough. I need to open the elbow up like this. And if I have to use this hand over, I do it to pull. Now start pulling me to that side. You can't, I jump my hip out this way. Again, just keep inching up until you get that nice bite, and try not to finish just with the head pull. Try to get used to the legs. Okay, another really common one is when the guy puts his arm behind his back like this, okay? Usually I can prevent this with proper gripping early, but sometimes you get there. Now the next one I'm gonna show you, it's the TP triangle. Probably a lot of you guys have seen this before. It doesn't always work. It kind of depends on where the guy's body position is on the neck, but a lot of times you can get it. Okay, so what I do is when he's here, I try to center up, and I try to get my knee around his neck. Sometimes it's like your inner thigh here, and I just clamp my fingers here, and I squeeze everything together there. A lot of times you can get the choke. Absolute worst case, I cannot get the choke. Then usually I will push the head out and try to switch up for the omoplata and go out that way. And if you have a strong omoplata, that's a strong finish as well, okay? But I always go for the TP triangle just because it's so low effort to try. You know, you get in here, you feel it, right? I kind of get my leg in position here. I come around and pinch, right? I need to go here like this, clamp, and I point the feet to the ceiling, my hands, everything goes straight as a board, like that, okay? Those are some of the most common kind of defenses guys will use. So yeah, go ahead and comment. Let me know if you guys have any other questions for triangle finishes, submission finishes. But the big takeaways on that is really focus on landing the triangle, just getting to that initial position first, and then learning to adjust and go to the finish from there, right? Don't try to land in that tight triangle finish. Really focus on the anti-stack motion, especially focus on that one where they pull you to the side and build off of that. Okay, guys, so go ahead and comment. Let me know what you guys are struggling with the triangles. Also, future video requests. As always, check me out on Instagram at JohnThomasBJJ. We do a lot of updates on there with like smaller details that are hard to pick up in videos. Because when I'm teaching people, there's always different ways people mess things up that are hard to cover in these big videos. So you get a lot of those things on the day-to-day and my stories and things like that. As always, if you guys like the content, like, share, subscribe. Thanks a lot.